Are you someone who's a fanatic fan of any footballer? Are you sure that you know their life story well? Like really well? I'd say no, if you are or ever have been a fan of these 9 footballers. Yes, in today's episode, we've drawn up a list of players who have had some crossings with the justice system, including some players who have retired. So, are you ready for it? Because it's here. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. And just like we said before, today we've come up with a list of 9 footballers who have been to prison. Before we move on with the content, if you guys are new to the club, then make sure to subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell before continuing, to make sure you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. So let's get started. Number 1. Bruno Fernandez. Yep, the Brazilian goalkeeper was imprisoned over the kidnap and murder of his former lover in 2010. He won trophies while playing goalie for Flamengo in Brazil from 2007 to 2009. He was accused of killing his adulterous partner, who also was the mother of his youngest kid, in 2010. He was sentenced to 22 years in prison in 2013 after being found guilty of her murder, concealing the corpse, and kidnapping his infant son. However, in February 2017, he was freed pending an appeal. His rearrest was enforced by the Supreme Court of Brazil in April 2017. He was permitted to work or train during the day while under partial house arrest starting in July 2019. At night, he was required to return to his home. Then, from 2019 to 2021, he played for Pocos de Caldas, Rio Branco Football Club, and Atlético Carioca. Number 2. Sergey Ariel. Sergey Ariel, a defender for Paris Saint-Germain, received a 2-month prison term for attacking police officers with his boyfriend. The 26-year-old was detained before the Spurs game against Manchester United, which he ultimately had to miss due to the incident. After a fight with his fiancée, the former PSG defender was taken into custody on charges of a real bodily harm. The Ivory Coast player was kept for many hours before being permitted to go. However, he was now been freed without being charged. The Ivorian has had legal issues in the past, even though this time he was released without being charged. After being detained on suspension 2 years before PSG's Champions League match against Arsenal, he was denied entrance to the UK. Number 3. Ruben Semedo. Ruben Semedo, a centre-back for Olympiacos, was detained in Greece for allegedly sexually assaulting a 17-year-old girl. After a young woman accused him to the Greek police, the former defender for Villarreal in Huesca was arrested at the Athens residence. The young woman met Semedo in an Athens pub, and after drinking together, they proceeded to his place, where he allegedly sexually assaulted her. Semedo had already served 142 days in prison in Spain for kidnapping and abusing a man at his house in Valencia. The player admitted during the trial that he had threatened to amputate the man's finger over a debt of 5,000 euros. He was being prosecuted on counts of unlawful detention, injury, robbery, and illegal possession of firearms. Number 4. Bruno Rodriguez. Bruno, a former defender for Bayern Munich, received a 3 years, 9-month sentence for setting his home on fire last year. On September 20th, 2011, Bruno started a fire that is thought to have been started while under the influence of alcohol. Bruno would likely finish his term, which was 2.5 years, before being deported to Brazil, according to the judge who oversaw the case, Rosi Detzman. The Brazilian's attorney requested a 2-year suspended sentence, while the prosecution sought a 5.5-year term. Werner Leitner, the defense counsel for Bruno, had earlier asserted that there was still some controversy over the fire's origin. The fire resulted in damage of up to 1.5 million euros, approximately $2 million, and the 21-year-old Bayern defender has been detained to prevent him from daunting authorities and tampering with evidence. Number 5. Alexis Zarate. Alexis Zarate, a former independent football player, was given a 6.5-year prison term for sexually abusing a minor in 2014 at the Avellaneda party in Buenos Aires. The former soccer player was detained after the Buenos Aires Supreme Court of Justice turned down an unusual federal petition to reconsider the decision against him. They found him guilty of a crime. In March 2014, he sexually attacked a young lady after she and Martin Bentes, an Avellaneda player, went dancing at the Quilmes bowling alley, and then went back to Zarate's flat in Wildes Brensen, where they had a sexual encounter. As was established in the oral trial, the couple had fallen asleep when he entered the room and began abusing the lady. She awoke, began to struggle with him, and yelled for Benitez to intervene. The former player was found guilty of the crime of sexual assault with physical contact, and given a sentence of 6.5 years in jail, more than 3 years after the case was brought to court. The player traveled to play for FK Liepaja in Latvia, but the defense challenged the verdict, and while the Court of Cassation decided the issue, he was compelled to return at the behest of the victim's attorney. Number 6. Adam Johnson. The former England international player Adam Johnson was found guilty on one count of engaging in sexual activity with a minor under the age of 15, in a planned, deliberate, and painstakingly organized exploitation of his popularity. At Bradford Crown Court, he was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Johnson, who had his 12 England caps removed, admitted to kissing and grooming the adoring fan on the first day of his trial. Later, he was determined to have committed a more serious instance of child sex abuse. He had taken advantage of his position of trust with a youngster who was 12 years younger than him, in a way that caused substantial psychological harm to her, according to Jonathan Rose, the judge who sentenced him. Number 7. Joey Barton. The former Premier League player and current League Two manager of Bristol Rovers was held on June 2nd in connection with alleged assault on his wife at a London apartment. His 35-year-old wife, Georgia, was harmed in the alleged attack at a property in Kew, southwest London, 2 days before their second wedding anniversary. Despite dating for more than 10 years, the couple just got hitched 5 years ago. Together, they have a boy named Cassius and a daughter named Pieta. Despite having been married for just 2 years, the couple had been together for almost 10 years. Together, they had a boy named Cassius and a daughter named Pieta. Sorry for repeating myself. In addition, Barton was charged with seriously injuring Daniel Stendhal, a former manager of Barnsley, after a League A1 match between Barnsley and Fleetwood in April 2019. Number 8. Lechkov. Former Bulgarian footballer Jordan Lechkov was sentenced to 3 years in prison and 3 years of probation for misusing his authority as a mayor of the southern town of Sliven. That was because he had been the mayor of his hometown of Sliven, where he was found guilty of submitting fake taxes. Lechkov, who is most remembered for scoring the game-winning goal with a diving header against Germany in the World Cup semifinals of 1994, finished his playing days as a player-coach for his hometown team. On the Hometown Hero platform, Lechkov stood for office in 2003 and won the position of mayor of Sliven. 4 years later, he was elected to a second term. Number 9. Robinho. The former Brazil striker Robinho received a 9-year prison sentence for his part in a horrifying sexual assault that happened in a Milan bar in 2013. A 23-year-old Albanian woman was one of several persons sexually attacked at the Sio Cafe nightclub by a gang that included Robinho, an AC Milan player at the time. Robinho was found guilty in 2017 after 2 unsuccessful appeals. The former player no longer has the right to appeal. Therefore, the most recent ruling by the Rome court is final. It's unknown if he'll serve his sentence in a Brazilian or in an Italian jail. Robinho's buddy Ricardo Falco is in a similar situation, although 4 other suspects left the country before they could be indicted and found guilty. Robinho, 37, kept playing in the NFL until 2020, 7 years after the crime was committed and 3 years after the first penalty. Alright, we went through 9 football players who played well in the game, but at some point in their life just totally lost it. What do you guys think about today's episode? Do mention it in the comment section below. And anyways, that about wraps up today's episode. We sincerely hope that y'all had a great time viewing it, and if you did, don't forget to, like and spread the word about it to your friends and your family. If you talk to them about what videos you watch on YouTube. I personally don't, but anyways, if you could also press the subscribe button. That's fun, that's hip and fresh and all that. Give us more motivation to create wonderful videos for you, just like this one. And also press the notification bell, because pressing buttons is very fun. So yeah, later.